What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kuempel with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. I'm super excited. I have a very valuable, resourceful guest. She's going to just drop a lot of information for all of my entrepreneurs out there or anyone that has a business. She's the founder of Connected Sponsors and strategic partner expert. She's been here for 25 years. You're originally from Ireland, I believe, if I got that right. Please welcome Sheila Farragher-Gemma. Gemma, did I say that correct?
Gemma actually works as well. So.
Fantastic. Well,
Thank-
Sheila, thank you for being here today. Can you please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. Deanna, thank you so much for having me on here. I'm really psyched to be chatting with you. So my name is Sheila Farragher-Gemma. You can hear from the accent that I'm Irish. I came to the States, it's actually just over 30 years ago now, which is kind of crazy, for a job, a corporate job. And when I came over, my big fear was I'd meet an American and get stuck over here, which is basically what happened. But when we got married and started having kids, and when I started to have kids, I decided that I did not want to work for corporate America anymore. I wanted to have the freedom to be home with my kids, to just kind of make my own schedule. But at the same time, obviously there's a need to make money. There always is. I'm not independently wealthy, unfortunately. So
Darn it, right?
so that's how I got my entrepreneurial start. I started a business. I ended up selling that business. I actually had another sale as well. And in the last 10 or so years, I've been working with platform owners to help them find sponsors for their events and platforms, so podcasts, newsletters, that kind of stuff.
I think that's a very niche business that you're in. I don't
It
feel
is.
like there's a lot of people that do that. So
Yeah.
can you tell us, like, I mean, just from an entrepreneurial perspective, which I think is very interesting, what got you into doing that, and how did you start getting connected with all the resources that you have to help people get sponsors?
Sure. Yeah. So I got into it just it was kind of wasn't something that I planned at all. I had a business with a woman called Deanna Rogers who
Love that
was
name.
I love it, great name, great person. She's been like towards the end of that business as it was winding down, she's been heavily recruited by a company called Digital Marketer to come work for them. And they have a whole bunch of events. They run 30 or 40 events a year, but one of them being traffic and conversion, which is a big digital marketing event. So she asked me if I could come and help her with sponsorship, and during those first couple of years that she was there, which I did. And then people started to see what I was doing and asked me if I could do it for them too. And it just kind of grew into this business that I never really planned on. So yeah, it kind of grew organically, which is pretty cool.
But that's the best way, I feel like, for anything to happen for yourself, if that it's organic and not forced. Like I told you before we started recording, that where I'm at in my life and my career, where I was, and I just decided when I lost my corporate job that I surrendered to the universe. I surrender. Whatever is meant for me will be, and I can't. There are days that I have, like, I get a little stressed out, but I just live in faith, and I feel like that is the best way to live your life. You know what I mean?
It really is. Yeah, I totally agree. And there are days because you can be very isolated and it can be lonely because like nobody really knows what you're going through, and the people around you are like, you should really go back and get a job and get something, that you can rely on and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, that's like the worst thing I could do. But yeah, it's tough.
So how long have you had connected sponsors?
A little over 10 years now. So I started with Deanna. People started seeing what I was doing. So then I started doing other events for people as well. And then in the last year, I talked about creating a product and bringing it online so that I'm more teaching and consulting. And the last year then with COVID was just the perfect opportunity to start like leaning in hard to that and getting it done.
Well, good for you. I talked to a lot of a lot of my guests that really pivoted during COVID and made that work for them, and created online courses, membership opportunities for their clients, and it's really worked out well. And I think that was awesome that you did that.
Yeah, it's COVID bad and all it is some really good things have come out of it as well. Like sometimes the world needs to be shook up a little bit and some changes, and not saying that it was a good thing by any means.
It definitely got shook up, that's for sure. I mean, I kept living my life, and my podcast. I just kept doing my podcast and just going. I mean, I pivoted to it in regard because I used to do everything in person, and so I just was like, okay, well, I'll just record via Zoom, and I just kept it going, and it's really done. I mean, I love having the podcast. Like I said, the community is awesome. We're all here to support each other, and there's just so much positivity. So
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us like who your ideal client is?
So my ideal client is like an event owner or platform owner who are looking to bring either on sponsorship or enhance the type of sponsorship that they're doing. In general, it's a weird kind of avatar because my avatar is that person, but usually that person isn't going to be the person doing the work. So then I usually get handed off to somebody in their organization, a team member that they want me to train to do what I do. Which works out well as long as the motivation is there. Sometimes someone's like told, here, you're now the sponsorship person, and they're like, oh
Like,
really, that's not what I want to do. So
that's interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
it can be interesting. Yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs, like a lot of the entrepreneurs I work with, are very kind of like have the idea, want to do it, move fast, but they're not interested in the doing of it. They're not really interested in learning how to do it. They're interested in just having the result, which I totally get.
So, talk to us about this course. And so that, like, when someone hires you and you're going to train that avatar, that person that's going to take that job over that to make that
Mhm.
happen for their company. So you're essentially doing that with your online course.
Yeah, yeah. So, and what I really had to do was kind of try and go back to me, 10 or 15 years ago and remember what was it that was difficult for me at the time. Because the way you start doing things and it just becomes second nature. You
Yeah,
don't, it's like driving a car. You don't like think about driving a car every time you get in a car and drive it. You just drive it.
yeah,
And then that to somebody, you've got to be like, okay, so when you're started, like, how do you start a car? How do you check your mirrors and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of the same thing. So I had to kind of go back to basics and say, okay, so how did I figure this out so that I can teach it to somebody else to figure it out, and also teach it in a way that they can figure out my way of doing it or other ways of doing it as well.
right.
Because my way isn't the only way, but it's the way I know because that's the way I do it.
It sounds like a very tedious process, but I'm sure that when you set that up, when you start creating that, you had to learn a lot. Like because
Yeah, yeah, because doing and teaching are two different things, and they always say the teacher learns more when they teach, and it's absolutely true. Because now I'm going back and finding things that I don't do that I'm like, why don't I do that anymore?
yeah,
That used to be successful, and I just like stopped doing it. So it's definitely it's very enlightening for me as well, like seeing kind of what the progress has been and what I'm doing now versus what I was doing before.
yeah, very cool. I feel like when you put something like that together, you kind of have to dummy proof it.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Because it's like because like you speak to anyone who's like done something for a long time, and they just like they're so over your head immediately that you have to kind of exactly dummy proof it. Like talk like you're talking to a 6-year-old. Okay, this is how we do this. This is step one, and that's what I need as well. Like it's funny because I'm an expert on sponsorship, but the whole thing of putting a course together and email marketing, all this kind of stuff, like I'm kind of new for that,
Yeah,
and so I'm on both sides of the fence right now. It's like I have this program and I'm like in other people's programs trying to learn how to put this program out there. So it's definitely interesting. And I know for me, I need the step by step, like dumb it down for me step by step. Like where do I point the clicker?
yeah. Well, at least that makes you're able to relate to your clients that sign up for your course because you're on the other side of it as well. That's really cool. I love
Right.
it. And I know so many people are offering these online courses, and I'm like, I've been advised that I should do something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have the patience or the energy to sit down and actually create it. I need someone to help me with that because I wouldn't even know where to start. Like I don't even know what I would teach, but I love it. I think it's amazing. You do have some questions here that I want to actually ask you, and I think are pretty good. Why should entrepreneurs be leveraging strategic partnerships and sponsorship to grow their business? That's a great question.
Yeah, because it's out there and people don't usually realize that the ability is there. Like this path started for me way back when I started that first business. I joined BNI, which was Business Network International, and I was just blown away. Like the first couple of meetings I went to, where people were just like, tell me what you do. I have this referral for you, and they're like helping me grow my business. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just like. And then the reciprocity, of course, I wanted to help them back,
Sure.
but it's a lot of times people kind of come from a scarcity mindset where they're like, well, I don't want to work with somebody because they may take my clients, or there's plenty of business for everyone, and especially when you find somebody who does something similar to what you do but not exactly what you do. You're bringing great value to if you guys form a strategic partnership and refer business back and forth to each other, you're bringing each other great value, but you're also bringing each other's clients great value as well, because now they're not only getting the other person, they're getting you as well to help them with whatever it is that they're trying to do.
I love it. I love it. And finding sponsors is hard. So I did I did a charity event against human trafficking several years ago, and actually was very successful. And I busted my butt just going out and networking, talking to people, and just really just asking for
Yeah.
them help. And that's and so for me, I don't know how that aligns with what you do, but I mean, I just remember like getting those big. I got boxed water. I got several different liquor brands that came in and were giving that gave their booze away at the event, and it turned out to be very successful. But to do that myself was very, very, very hard. I didn't have any of the relationships, so
Right.
you
Yeah.
know I had to go out and find them. I had to call the companies directly, find the contact person, and it was that took me 8 months to put that together. It was quite the event. I had like 300 people. We raised like $20,000. It was a success. It was a great success. But I
That's
remember, I mean, I was asked for several years after that because that was in 2019. So it's been like 3 years. I was asked for at least the last 2 years before COVID that, oh, will you do another event? And I'm like, sure, that'd be great if you help me.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it is a lot, but it's all really based on relationships. And the first thing I like advise people is to look at the event, look at the avatar, like the person who's coming to the event, and what is it that they're looking to do. In your case, it's probably a little bit hard. Well, they're supporting a cause, so I guess it is. But like a lot of the events I work with, people are looking for some sort of transformation. So they're coming to learn something, or like your podcast, they're coming on here to hear something, learn something, have some sort of transformation in their life. Maybe it's just that they're lonely in their own office, and just hearing other voices and getting ideas from the things that you talk about in your podcast. But whatever that transformation is, then you want to bring in the resources for that. So that's kind of how you choose your sponsors, is going at it from that point of view, so that you're making sure that you're kind of curating this whole experience where you're teaching them whatever it is that you're teaching them, and then you're giving them all of the resources they could possibly need to be successful as well. So you're really trying to ensure their success. And of course, for the sponsor, it's great because they're getting more leads and in front of more people like yourself. And for the if it's an event that they're learning something, for the students or the listeners, they're just getting all the support that they could ever want. So you want to try and think of it from that point of view, so that you're really kind of putting together something that's really going to benefit everyone, so everyone's winning. And then once you do that once, it's becomes easier, because now you have the reputation of putting this thing like that together. And the sponsors are they know that they're going to get their ROI, or they know they're going to get whatever it is that they're looking for out of the deal as well. So
Hey guys, Deanna here with Label Free Podcast. Are you a six-pack kind of guy or a dad bod kind of guy? Either way, our friends at Manscaped have the fellas' hairy bodies covered. They just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. That's right, you heard that right. 4.0. Trim from the leaders in male grooming, so the man in your life can join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code LABELFREE20. That's right, 20% off with free shipping with the code LABELFREE20. So head on over to their website, manscaped.com, and pick up something for yourself, the man in your life, whomever that might want to benefit from keeping everything nice and tight for the summer. Love it. Yeah, that I just like I mean what you said just really hit home, because I've had a couple sponsors for my podcast. I have one. I signed a 4-month contract with Manscaped, which so like over 51% of my audience is men, right?
yeah.
So from the ages of like 25 to 45. And
Uh-huh.
so over 50% of my audience, like that Manscaped, I'm a perfect fit for them, even though I'm talking to incredible women like yourself. But you have a husband,
Yep.
or you know what I mean. So it's just
Yeah.
like I've done very well. I mean, they don't pay me a lot because I'm just so new. But that's been a cool learning experience for me, because I actually, how I found them is, so I'll just go after it. If I'm like, oh, this sounds like a good good opportunity, I'm just gonna go for it. So I got an email from one of my podcasting newsletters, and I'm like, they were looking for podcasts to sponsor. So I reached out to them. I said, 51% of my audience is men, from this age range. I think I'd be a great candidate for your product offering. And so it worked out well. They did. It's done good. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I have a contract with them until August, and they've sent me some free products. My boyfriend loves it. Or my fiance. I should call my fiance. My fiance loves it, and it's just been a great learning experience for me. And so, I know what to do when I get more sponsors and how I would approach that. And it's been pretty great.
Exactly, and that's just the way it is. It doesn't have to be this big, complicated, involved thing. If you have the right demographic, sponsors are going to pay money to get in front of that demographic, and then if you produce the results, they'll just keep coming back because why not? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. I mean, I was kind of nervous. I was like, "Who the heck do I think I am?" when I reached out to him, but I it was a positive
That's amazing. No,
response.
good for you for doing it. I mean, you have to, who is it that says, I can't even remember the saying. It's a baseball saying, but you miss 100% of the shots that you don't
Yeah,
try or something.
yeah.
Totally.
I love that. I love it. I know what you're talking about. I don't know exact words, but I love that saying too. It's
Yeah,
good.
exactly. So it's, yeah, good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was surprised. When I got the email back, I think I almost started crying. I was like, "Oh my god, they want to be one of my sponsors."
Well, it's like, because you put on this great podcast, and then for someone to actually pay you cash money to be a part of it, that really validates everything you're doing as well. So that's amazing.
Yes, thank you. It's only for 4 episodes a month right now, but it's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, Ooh, here's a question. This is good for like, I mean, everybody. Well, there's a lot of people that are doing this. When we're looking at work from home options, what aspects are vital to consider?
So for me, the probably the biggest one, and it's not going to be like the typical, have a desk and have a room, a quiet place or everything. For me, the biggest one is to have some sort of connection, because you can get, I mentioned it earlier, but you can be really isolated, especially as an entrepreneur, because you're not like everyone else. So it's right from there, you start talking about what you do, and people are just like, oh, I don't kind of get it. Where do you work? Who's the work? Yeah, so just having some sort of connection. I have a group that I go to, or I don't go to, that we do a Zoom every Friday morning. And it's just a group that we randomly met, and there was a bunch of us in it. Now there's four of us. It's been four of us for probably, I'd say a good 5 or 6 months at this point. And like that is the most important meeting of my entire week, because they're just, it's just, I can get on there, I can be myself, I can be vulnerable, I can be like, I have this idea, or I'm scared to do this, or I'm just depressed today, I can't get myself motivated to get out of bed, whatever it is.
Right, right.
And it's just a huge support network. So find a support network for yourself, no matter what it is, just so that you can, have people like you that you can talk to if you're having a bad day, a good day. It's not like we've somebody in the next cubicle that we can just be like, you want to go get a coffee. It's just
Yeah,
doesn't work like that. So yeah, that I think that would be the biggest thing personally. Obviously you want to have a good workspace and all the rest of that kind of stuff as well, but most people can figure that out for themselves, I think.
for sure. And I don't think work from home is for everybody. I've loved being able to do my podcast and really invest a lot of time into it and really produce the results that I've gotten recently. But I personally love going into the office and having
Yeah.
having that camaraderie with my peers. But I keep myself so busy and I'm so social. So like being like these last like 6 months has been in I've enjoyed meeting people like yourself, dynamic individuals, and then I go out, and I have a very large family. So like, and I have a good support system as well. So yeah, and it's not for everybody. I know when I got furloughed during COVID, I was just like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like crawling up the walls, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, and it's not just getting furloughed, but it's the fact that COVID as well, and you're staying in place, and you couldn't get out. You can't just go to the bar or the restaurant or whatever, because everything was shut down for so long. So it's just like, you know,
I had a nice bar in my kitchen.
yeah, but you do with the
Just
people.
kidding.
It's not the bar. It's the interaction, the social, and all that kind of stuff. And I think for people as well, like kind of really rethought how their lives are, and what they do need. And some people do want to go back into the office. Some people are like, hey, I'm good forever back here.
I
So
know I hear a lot of people that are saying that. Like my own sister, she's just like, I don't ever want to go back in, but she also
yeah,
has two little kids at home. So I think that it's been convenient for her to be able to be home and be there with them. But I
yeah,
also think it's given her a warped perception of reality.
yeah,
And she has like she's living in a bubble. And I mean it's been our relationship is a little strained right now, but because of that, because she's just been like so ultra like she's not the same after this happened. And it worries me, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
anyways, we're getting off topic. I'm gonna pick one more question and then we're gonna ask you some final words of wisdom and advice. Gonna need you to plug all your links and then we'll bring it to a close. But I like this. What role has mentorship and personal development played in the success of connected sponsors?
So
Ooh,
that's had a huge role. I mean, it's the mentorship part. There's no way I would be where I am today without some of the great mentors that have had come into my life. It's just I think we all have that. You need somebody who can kind of give you a prod or give you an idea or just help you even just kind of brainstorm or kind of talk out your ideas in your head of is this good, is this not. So I really cherish those relationships. And then personal development, like I'm always looking to improve. It's always, I take a lot of personal responsibility. So if something's going wrong in my life, I'm like, okay, so what am I doing to make this go wrong? Because I can control that. Is that a cat or a dog? I can
that's a
just
cat. No, 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 no. Okay, get down.
yeah. I can
Yeah,
I can control myself. I can't control what's happening in the world. So just having that kind of the self responsibility and then just like making the most of what it is that I have. So it's just been a huge thing. So sometimes when things have gone wrong, just like kind of look internally and decide as well, control the controllables. Is this something worth getting upset about, or is this something you can get as upset as you want? It's not going to change anything. So
yeah,
that's not that.
yeah. I think having a mentor is a great way to keep hold yourself accountable. So,
Yeah.
real quick, why don't Sheila, can you please let us know all your links where people can find you and all that good stuff?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I actually put together a little training. It's like a 15-minute training. It's a one pager called Finding Sponsors. So it's right on my website, connectedsponsors.com/finding sponsors that people can hop on. And it's one of the low hanging fruit things that I use when I'm first finding sponsors for an event. So it's called Follow Your Checkbook. And it's basically especially if you're teaching what you do, like who are you paying every month? Who are your bills? And they would probably be really good sponsors, and there's reciprocity there as well. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. So Facebook is at Connected Sponsors. LinkedIn is my whole long name, so I'll just like email that to you afterwards. You can put it in the show notes if you have them. It's Farragher-Gemma. It was a good idea at the time. Now it's just a really long name.
Uh, that's all good. Yes, definitely. I'll put all those links in the show notes. And one last piece of advice or wisdom that you'd like to leave with the audience.
Yeah. So just wherever you are on your journey, keep going. There are times when it can be hard to keep going, but just have faith in yourself. Know that you can do this, and just kind of keep mulling through. You'll get there.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a guest, Sheila. I appreciate all your words of wisdom. You guys, I'm going to leave all her links in the show notes. Please go reach out to her if you have an event coming up or you just like to learn more on what she has to offer in her online course and in her membership that she has as well. This is your host, Deanna Kuempel, Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, follow, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.